go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, joined by the Masters crew, Dynasty Owl, the Doc, two guys I really respect in this fantasy industry. I think you should, too. What's up, guys? How you doing today?
Fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
Good to hear, man. Just coming off a big weekend. We had over almost 700 rookie drafts completed and started this weekend. Really busy weekend. A lot of fun, though, too. We're going to be doing a little recap of that, talk about some picks we've seen that stuck out, some picks we loved, some picks we hated, etc. Right before we jump into it, if you're looking for a place to play Dynasty football, MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. Over 600 leagues, never folded a single one, never intend to. Also run a redraft 7 nights a week. Everything you need for fantasy football, we are the one-stop shop, MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. All right, let's jump into this. How was your weekend, guys? How'd the rookie drafts go for you? We'll start there.
Yeah. I mean, mine were pretty good. I ended up getting a lot of pieces that I wanted. So, yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of had a lot of picks in the same window, just like strategically went out and got kind of like those late first, early seconds, the window I liked for, a lot of those receivers and then, the Trey Lances of the world as well. So that was kind of like where I wanted to be in a lot of drafts.
Right. All right. And then we'll start the recap here. And I will say that I think we were pretty spot on with the first 5 picks. I did see an occasional draft where, I seen one where Trevor Lawrence went at the 1.1, which, I didn't necessarily hate. But it was kind of odd compared to the other drafts.
Right.
But I will think, and I'm trying to recall a year that was kind of similar to this, and I personally couldn't. Like, you could go into any draft, and those first 3, 4, 5 could have been in any order. Do you guys think of another year that was kind of similar to that, or?
I don't remember it being this up in the air.
Yeah, especially
at least recently. I feel like pretty recently it's been like a clear-cut one and then a bunch of other guys, but this one it's really up in the air. It's kind of just preference.
Yeah, because from league to league, I'd hop in. I was going through trying to get in touch with people. Literally every league. Najee would be at one. This one was Pitts. This one was Chase.
So yeah, I feel like the 1.1 probably all over the place this year.
Yeah, it was all over the place. And then right around that 5, 6 spot, I think that's where things started to switch up a little bit. Mostly the 6th spot. And I think for me personally, I'm going to start out by saying this. On a few of the leagues that I was in, I had to make a tough decision at the 7th spot. And for me, that came down to Trevor Lawrence or Jalen Waddle for me. I seen that quite a bit. And I was actually shocked because in a bunch of leagues, like I would have like the 7 and the 12 pick. So at the 7 pick, I decided to go Waddle, hoping that Lawrence would still fall to me at the 12. And I did see a couple where he did, but for the most part, Trevor Lawrence, the 1.7, 1.8 pick, did that shock either one of you?
Kind of, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of right where I expected it to fall. Like, for me, the top 4 were like a lock in my mind, and I thought 5 and 6. But yeah, so I kind of pegged the Lawrence going 7, 8, 9 right in
Which
there.
I did too. He was on my radar there, so I kind of figured he might be on other people's. But when I went to last year's draft, that just wasn't the case for Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I understand a little bit different hype train.
Yeah.
But it's not like Joe Burrow was a scrub.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just kind of shocked me a little bit to see a quarterback in a 1-quarterback league get drafted so consistently, like 7, 8.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
it was a little shocking.
I think it's kind of interesting to see like a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Like Kyler Murray, I feel like every draft I saw was going earlier when he was
5,
a rookie. Yeah. And I thought, no argument with it. Kyler Murray is a great prospect, was a great prospect, is a great player now. But, if we think that highly of Trevor Lawrence, it's kind of crazy to me that he's not even really cracking the top 5 very much.
I agree.
All right, and then
I think he's going where he should be.
And then move on a little bit. I think after the 7, 8 pick, I think then the question started to become, it was Waddle, Bateman, some of these wide receivers.
Yeah, that was the toughest decision though, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I had the 1.8 in one of our leagues, and it was tough because it was picking between guys like Waddle and Bateman, and it's tough because you have your guys that you like, but you also don't want to miss out on talent. So I ended up going with a guy like Waddle over Bateman just because I feel like what he could be is so much more. And Bateman's probably the safer pick, but yeah, I just kind of gambled a little bit and went with the talent.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of tagged this draft, not to go back to Trevor Lawrence, but
Yeah.
for me personally, I tagged this draft as like, how much am I going to regret that later, taking
Right.
Waddle over Lawrence? I think 2 or 3 times I did it.
Oh, I was pushing so hard to get that pick from the commish too, just
Yeah.
because I wanted Lawrence,
Yeah.
and I was just like, yeah, I'd probably take a receiver. You don't really need a quarterback.
Yeah. You'll probably hate me when I was like, nah,
I know,
take Lawrence.
yeah.
You'll have, I didn't even know you were trying to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, give him a trade bait later on.
I always figure these two are up
Yeah.
to no good. So. All right, and then moving on here, I guess the question is just kind of taking a look at all the drafts, all the stuff we went through this weekend. Like, what stuck out to you? Anything surprises? Any great value picks you've seen over and over again? I'll pass this on to you guys. Anything you can think of?
I was really kind of surprised at just kind of how lowly drafted some guys like Josh Palmer were. Like, there's so much hype around guys like Josh Palmer. I know Nico Collins is another one. I know they traded for Anthony Miller a week ago, so that might be part of that. But I feel like both those guys we've seen in, like, fresh Dynasty startups get taken, ahead of some other guys that we saw them go behind in rookie drafts. So I thought that was a little strange. But I got Josh Palmer at 3.8 in one of our drafts, which I was really happy about. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to me. I feel like there was a few guys like that.
I'd say so. I'm a piggyback right off that. Very similar scenario, guy we talked about a lot, in our Dynasty Spotlight series. Amon-Ra St. Brown consistently going second half of the third round. I think I got him right around 3.7 or something in a league. Some go 3.6 in another. And he's a guy I don't love long term, but I think he's a very pro-ready receiver. I think he's going to step right into that slot role for the Lions. And I mean, I don't want to get like too crazy in terms of numbers, but he could see 100 targets as a rookie just because he's pro-ready, and they truly need a complete slot receiver like that. I know they got Perriman and who's the other tall speed? Terrell Williams
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Tyrell Williams. So I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's a guy you easily could just trade him halfway through the year. Once he's kind of putting up some numbers and people get excited about a rookie producing. So I think great guy to draft in the third round, and then once he puts up numbers, just go ahead and deal him.
Yeah, I agree with that. And real quick, what's the tight end Kansas City? Noah Gray.
Oh yeah, Noah Gray.
Yeah,
he went up higher than I expected.
Yeah, I was shocked quite a bit, man. I was going through these things, and I mean, I even seen him go as early as 2.1 in one draft, which I mean, I kind of scratched my head about it a little bit, but I mean, the excitement,
right?
I think the tight end position, Kansas City, Kelsey's health. Did it surprise you guys to see him go as early as he did in some of these?
It absolutely did, and long term, I can see the case for Noah Gray, but I feel like those people who drafted him, they're going to be dropping him because Travis Kelce's not going to go anywhere quite yet. People get impatient. And then Noah Gray is the guy you pick up 2 years from now, and he helps you big time.
Yeah, it's going to be like George Kittle all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up for you guys. We spoke about it in one of the other episodes. One of our favorite times is when guys have to make their cuts after the draft. So, I mean, if that's not a day that you have circled on your calendar, you definitely should, man. Those first free agency periods. Some of these guys, man, have filled out their rosters pretty good, 1 through 20.
Load up on rookie
rookie picks, make 8 picks. All of a sudden, they got 28 guys on the roster. Tough decisions to be made. It's always a great day to get in there and get some bargains on some of these guys. I mean, even a guy like Noah Gray, perfect example. The 2.8 pick in some drafts, all of a sudden he's just on the waiver wire.
Right.
And I mean, you would have paid you would have paid quite a bit to get into the draft. A week before it started to even get the 2.8. All of a sudden today he's free. So
that's the thing too, is that I feel like it's going to be the case with a lot of the tight ends in this draft. Whereas a lot of them were taken in the third round in the drafts we saw. Guys like Freiermuth, Gray was in the third a lot of the time, even though he did sneak up there quite a bit too. Guys like Brevin Jordan, guys like that. All these rookie tight ends.
Hunter Long.
Yeah, Hunter Long.
Yeah.
My guy Tommy Tremble. That didn't see him get drafted. But like guys like that, all these rookie tight ends that right now are expendable because they're not in, starting roles yet possibly. And they're third round picks. So if anyone's getting cut, it's them. Those are the guys I'd be on my lookout for. Just because tight end's such a weak spot, after that top 5. And, any one of those guys has the potential to break out with an injury or just getting a bigger role in their offense. So I'd be on the lookout for those guys.
I got one of them guys on my roster right now that I'm getting ready to start this year. That was Irv Smith.
Yeah.
From a couple seasons ago. Got dropped. I picked him up. I mean, you know, his
Yeah.
time to shine, looking like it's here finally.
Yeah, I
Right.
feel like I've had Irv Smith on and off my roster in a couple
Quite a
like,
bit.
like 5 different times. You know, pick him up, drop him, pick him up, drop him, pick him up, trade him, drop him. Like, you know, just back and forth. Like, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll bring up on it I thought was interesting was the quarterback order. I think kind of reminiscent of last year. I thought that Zach Wilson reminded me a lot of like Justin Herbert. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a guy that was skipped
Yeah.
over for guys that were drafted behind him
Yeah.
quite a
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
Able to kind of swoop
Yeah.
in late second, early. I don't think I seen him in the third, but late second quite a bit. Was a guy I really personally like drafting.
Yeah.
And I just think the fantasy order overtook the real order.
Yeah.
And I thought Zach Wilson was a steal in quite a bit of these.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I thought that from, we had done a couple of rookie drafts early on in the process, and I thought that too then, and it still hasn't really changed. I'm surprised at how low he's being drafted, and I don't know if it's just the fact that he's the Jets quarterback, but I feel like he's going to surprise a lot of people. The Jets, I think, will surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, and I really think 100% agree with what you're saying, but I think it's even bigger than that. I think all of these quarterbacks, especially the top 4, even maybe the top 5, like with Mac Jones maybe sliding in there, where if you just look 5 years from now, like these guys like Trey Sermon and Michael Carter, they're probably going to be long gone in terms of fantasy relevancy, where, Mac Jones could be a starter for 17 years. Trey Lance could be a superstar in a couple of years. Justin Fields could be a superstar in a couple of years. So for me, a lot of the first round quarterbacks, I think, were a tremendous value. To be able to get them, in the second, third round of your rookie drafts, you can't beat that.
Yeah, and even better, keep an eye out, man, because I've seen it over and over, man. These quarterbacks get dropped too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
right.
get drafted
Yeah,
on
if all of a
draft
sudden
day.
Jimmy G starts, the first 8 games, somebody will drop Trey Lance.
For
And-
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I hate to say this, one of my worst moments ever in
Yeah.
fantasy football history was the last cut of the year. I dropped Mahomes,
I
kept Jason Witten. Still haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
I traded Mahomes for Hunter Henry when Alex Smith was still the starter because I was like, oh, I need a tight end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
backup quarterback. Yeah.
All right, guys. That's going to wrap up this edition. Hey, in the comments, if you want, leave anything that maybe you've seen in the draft that was a little odd. I will take this second to apologize to any guys who timed out and got a tight end early. You guys have to understand, man, the system, you can start 2 tight ends now. If you're only sitting on 1 or 2 tight ends, system kind of, it reads that as like a valuable pick. I'm not going to get into some of the details. You guys know who you are. Got to be on there. Got to make your picks, guys. With that said, though, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, come be part of the Masters family. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.